Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Hope everybody's having a great day.
All right, there's a nibble went ahead and
Sorry about that. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Just going live to discuss the markets, kind of what we're seeing. Just a beautiful game plan for today. Bottom of DS, that's historically an area where we look for pullbacks to buy. I talked about that this morning. Call dominated structure, was looking to buy pullbacks in this market environment. Everything still looked supportive type action. So good entry. Here we retested 0DT transition above. So we marked those levels heading into today. We always say transitions matter. So we opened below transition. I talked about this in the pre-market prep. Was a little bit bearish and cautionary in the morning. And then we ran right down towards the DS. What was interesting was the tick was really not indicating a significant amount of selling as we ran down to the bottom of drunken sailor range. And then Daniel, yeah. I'm going to say a lot of people probably sold right into this overhead bounce, but that's okay. I mean, you got you got the move from 30, 35 up towards transition, and then you could have always re-entered, but no. So ran back up to transition, and we saw stalling where we should see into the overhead transition area there. Excuse me. And then, pullback rejection of transition. And then we just kept tapping on it. What was interesting is we continued to see market participants speculating to the upside, and you continue to see the tick rising. So more stocks were being bought than sold. And then 75 tested once, twice, and, you could count however you do your TA analysis, but, a couple tries, basically you just, chipping away at the overhead ceiling. And then this was another fake at 75. And then we got this large bar right through 75 here was a good entry. And then you just notice how you come right to the top of transition and you see stalling rejection, back to transition, stalling rejection, then you finally push through. And this is just what we continue to see over and over with our key levels. Once we crossed back above 0 GEX though in the morning and held 68.35, this was a good area. You could have sold below this. You could have done multiple things. Put spread. Just not thinking that we're going to go below 30, 35 area, which was a good opportunity also. And then we just chopped around that central area around transition and then finally pushed through transition. And then now we tested 6,900 and we're seeing it back off there, kind of seeing a divergence with tick here, kind of a negative divergence as we pushed into that overhead area. So buying is not as strong as we ran back into 69. And this is that overhead hurdle that we talked about this morning. From the bottom of DS up to 6,900, we traversed that whole area. And we're pretty sure that we're going to see some stalling into the 6,900. And if we see over 6,900, 25, 30 is the next area overhead, but not anticipating us to push through 6,900 into the evening session here. Again, our market trend model, we talked about this morning, was bullish yesterday. We crossed back above and we continue to the upside here. Filtered cumulative tick kicking in roughly 1030-ish, back above 0. And those little indications you hear, that's just continuing buying pressure. And new highs just blowing away new lows. So breadth looks good, tick looks good. Everything was all systems go. For a move to the upside, which is kind of what we anticipated on pullbacks. We're still buying pullbacks and bullish on pullbacks. So we'll see how this plays out. Interesting that some of the tech stocks were weak a little early. Tesla came right down to P-Trans. Really, this was a fantastic play off P-Trans and then back up. Let me go ahead and put regular hours. So again, we continue to execute the same trades, pull back to transition areas, and then long off those transition areas on all the leading stocks. AMD had a pullback right down to Index at 210, and then ran right back off of it. I mean, it truly is amazing how we continue to see these levels react. I mean, you have to love it when this stuff works out. So just continues to do the same game plan over and over for us. If we're in a call dominated, positive gamma structure, we'll continue to do that with individual equities over and over. So, all right, let me know if anybody has any thoughts, comments, questions about how we looked about today, but not really anticipating us to go higher than 6,900. Zero Gex on SPY was a good crossover point also. And then we ran right up to P-Trans on Qs. And now we're seeing a little bit of stalling there as you would anticipate into that overhead area. So, and IWM just super strong. So really no change in IWM. So yeah, Daniel, good entry down here. I'm sure a lot of people took profit overhead into the overhead. I did. I think these calls, SPY calls went from, did someone say Christmas membership giveaway? Let me talk to the team. Let me talk to the team and see. Maybe we'll figure something out. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like that. Let me talk to the team and see what they think. Maybe we'll post it on X, and everybody that joins that day, we'll do. We'll figure out how to give it away. So, yeah, we could do a random generator or something, and everybody that signs up, we could do that. So, yeah, let me think about that. Good idea. I like that idea. We probably just give you a month membership, and then if you want to continue. So, yeah, I like that. Anyway, as I said, Dano, yeah, my SPY calls, I think, went from 50 cents to almost $1.50, I think, or somewhere, maybe $2. I can't remember, but just a quick, massive run to the upside. And then I took profit into that overhead area. And then I'm in 2X ETFs due to our MTM, progressive exposure. Once we cross back above, I start getting into ETF, leverage ETFs, and then I'll just continue with those leverage ETFs until we see a failure of the tick on the MTM. So again, not financial advice, but that's an easy way to do it. You don't have to manage. Small cash account, totally get it. Yeah. So obviously options, directional options are probably your best, or spreads, or verticals. Yeah. Diagonals, whatever. That's probably your best option also. So, yeah. Even just a few contracts, even just one SPX contract, I'm sure exploded to the upside. And then if you took profit into that overhead. So we just continue to see buy ticks come in here. I mean, now we're crossing back above that divergence. So yeah, any pullback this morning, if you put on any sort of moving average or VWAP, whatever you want, your favorite thing to be, pullbacks continue to be bought in this uptrend. So, and I like adding VWAP. You see that you pull back to VWAP continues to get bought. So for me, if we don't get bought at VWAP, that's a character change, and I'll change my thought process for the day. And also, if we're seeing our volume command with positive slopes to the upside, and that always is supportive for me, understanding what's occurring there. I'll pull that up for everybody. So here's our slopes for volume. So continuing to the upside. So again, this is just letting you know that market participants are speculating, continuing to grind, speculate to the upside. So we will follow them wherever the market participants are going. So yeah, let me know if anybody wants to talk about anything, chat about anything. I'm just kind of hanging out, finishing off the day here. So again, I'm anticipating we don't cross 69. If we do, I'd say we'll go to 25, 69, 25, or 30, but I'm just anticipating we'll probably not cross above that into the afternoon. So. Just continue to love these transition levels we talk about. They really do help you get an idea of where structure's at, where market participants are at. Pull up the app real quick. go back and look at our pre-market prep I posted this morning. We went through the whole game plan for today. So I can pull it. Let me pull up the 0DTE for today. Hold on one second. We'll pull this over. Let me grab it real quick. We can talk about the game plan from this morning. Let me see. Okay, here it is. There we go. So this is the game plan from this morning. This is 0DTE pre-market that we talked about. So again, Drunken Sailor range, 68.30 was that area we were looking for supportive type action. That's expected move for the day. And then, you can just see significant amount of in the money calls below us. Charm support did drop off, but we were anticipating us to bounce around that 30 level. And then 68.50 early on was that area we need to get back above, which we did. And then now we're into the 80-85 area. You're within the overall Drunken Sailor range now. And sorry, that was this morning. That was spot price. So we're back above, all those levels, transition area, as we said, once you get back above transition. But transition was key. It was probably going to be a little bit choppy within that transition area. And that's pretty much what you saw here. Retested transition multiple times into transition and then pushed back above transition. But within the Drunken Sailor range, we take opportunities at the bottom of these ranges. And again, we like to play within the bottom of these ranges as well as in the areas of transition. So if you only played in those specific areas, you'd have high probability trades, and that's where we like to trade at. And then above 69, we'd be looking up here towards 25, 30. But you see just a significant amount of delta and charm. We're sitting there. And this is updated 6,900, significant delta and charm here. And then if we get through 6,900, you see where we'd probably stall at 6,920 overhead. So, yep. Hopefully that helps. And then obviously the volume command intraday, just indicating, speculation to the upside. So it's just adding on to the overall bullish look. And then the tick was continuing to rise also. So market participants were buying. Again, it was very interesting. We saw this drop into the morning, and tick was really not very bearish. So this was indicating stocks were not being sold very hard, even though we had a drop in the SPX, pretty quick drop in the SPX. But there wasn't a significant amount of selling into this lower area. And that's what we like to see. I like to see this as confirmation with our structure, as well as, TA analysis. These were Wednesday's lows, and actually Monday's lows. So I love to see that, continuing to mark those out and then get long those areas. And then just continue to see 6,900 overhead there. So we didn't make a new high on the tick as we pushed on that last area. So that's what I'm going to watch now into the afternoon. So thanks everybody for joining us. Obviously, like and subscribe on X and YouTube. Check out our pre-market prep. Check out some intraday charts that I posted this morning for SPY and Q. Those were the key areas that SPY needed to be over with 684. And then P-Trans is 689. We wanted to get over 684. And then we wanted to stay above 620 on Qs. That was COTMP. And then ZeroGex 624, 625 overhead. Areas where you could see some stalling into the overhead area, unless we saw a large amount of out of the money call speculation on those. So Qs have been lagging today. IWM and DIA, obviously the leaders today. So, okay. Let me know if anybody has any questions on the tools or game plan this morning. Let me know if you did well today, had some profit, how you traded, what you were looking at. Yeah, another one of our key tools that we like to look at is NetStack command in the morning. This gives us our highest sensitivity areas. And we were in the money put. Dominated this morning. It was very small. It was at 68.75. And And now we're full call dominated, 68.50 there, and then 6,900 overhead you see. And then we actually see the charm at 69.20 now. So that would be there. And then Vanna towards that top area at 69.20. Let me look at my morning slides here. If I can find them. I'll have to find them. There we go. Morning slide there. So net stack command for this morning was 67.50 in the money calls below. So we're going to be supportive. And then 68.50 out of the money puts, charm support. And then overhead was 69. Oh, actually, they were calls on both sides. That's why we were call dominated. Sorry, I forgot about that. But 6,900 overhead there. So, all right. Yeah, so stalling into that overhead 6,900, obviously previous high here too, prior day high. So not really shocking that we've ran from the bottom all the way back to the top, and then now we're stalling into that 6,900. So yeah, it's funny, we talked about that. We've talked about the same range for I don't know, a few weeks now, I think, overall. And if you just keep scrolling back, right? I mean, this is below the range, but technically you're roughly in the same area. You know, you talk 6,800. So we talked about 6,800, then we talked about 6,850. So 6,850 is probably the new 6,800. So if we stay above 50, we can probably continue to be, you know, pushed to the upside. We'll see if we break out of this range. That's a high there and a high back on the 5th. So it looks like we got 3 highs there from a TA standpoint. That we'll need to cross above. So yeah, so starting to see that tick diverge a little bit there, as I said, into that overhead 6,900. So key area. Yep, agree, George. Yep, just continue to build the base. And, you know, like we've been discussing, if we're call dominated, we have in the money calls below us, even though we don't have a ton of out of the money call speculation, actually it improves after this Friday expiry. We went over that this morning on the Delta Mount. That we just continue to buy or continue to be supportive on pullbacks. Now, when we see that floor of in the money calls start to change to out of the money puts, or we start to see in the money calls being removed on a net OI day over day basis, then, you know, we'll change our thesis. But until that happens, we'll continue to look for the market to be supportive. So not really change our thesis. And tick is very strong. So there's significant buying going on in the market. I think financials were leading today, so rotation still continues. Tech sold off kind of this morning, and financials were leading. I think some industrials were actually leading. IWM, obviously, anything in the IWM, energy was flying to the upside too. So just a rotation, which is good for the market. So, yep. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to cover? Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate it. Again, like and subscribe on X and YouTube, or join us at GameEdge.us. And you can put your email in, and we'll send you newsletters. And we also have free courses that cover all of our thesis, all of our tools here. GameEdge FastPass. Make sure you check that out. And then like and subscribe. You'll be notified when we go live. Pre-market prep in the morning, midday recap, as well as post-market review. Yeah, absolutely, Tree. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Have a great afternoon and evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.